3 in the morning. Your calf locks up like a fist. You grab the muscle with both hands, press your heel into the mattress, and wait. 30 seconds. A minute. Long enough to be wide awake for the next 2 hours. I'm 83. That used to be my night. 2, 3 times a week, sometimes more. And every time it happened, I'd tell myself the same thing. It's just age. That's what you tell yourself when you don't have a better answer. I had a better answer. I just didn't know it yet. What I know now is this. Those cramps were not random. They were not just age. They were a signal. A very specific signal from muscle and nerve tissue that wasn't getting what it needed. And there are 2 things happening inside your legs after 60, especially if your blood sugar runs even slightly elevated, that nobody has connected for you yet. One of them you've probably heard of. The other one, the one that determines whether the first one keeps getting worse, almost nobody explains. That second mechanism is what the food I eat every night before bed is working on directly. I'll name the food in a moment, but if you understand why it works, you'll never skip it. So stay with me. Start with what a leg cramp actually is. A cramp is your muscle contracting and refusing to release. The muscle needs 2 things to fire and release correctly: the right electrical signal from the nerve that controls it, and the right minerals inside the muscle cell to respond. Specifically, magnesium and potassium. Magnesium controls the relaxation phase. When the muscle contracts, magnesium is what tells it to let go. Without adequate magnesium inside the cell, the muscle fires and stays fired. Most people know they're supposed to get enough magnesium. What most people don't know is that if your blood sugar runs high on a regular basis, not diabetic coma high, just consistently elevated, 150, 160, 170 at meals, your kidneys excrete magnesium and potassium at a higher rate than normal. This is one of the documented consequences of chronically elevated blood sugar. Your body is pulling minerals out through urination faster than your diet replaces them. Research has linked this pattern to the higher rates of muscle cramps seen in people managing blood sugar. So the cramps aren't random. They're downstream of the blood sugar. Your blood sugar is quietly draining the minerals your muscles need to function through the night. That's the first mechanism. Now here's the second one, the one that makes it worse. The same chronically elevated blood sugar that drains your magnesium is also doing something to the nerves that control your leg muscles. Researchers who study diabetic complications have identified a process called glycation. Glucose attaching to proteins inside nerve tissue and gradually impairing how those nerves transmit signals. This isn't a new discovery. It's one of the best documented mechanisms in the science of diabetic neuropathy, and it affects not just sensation, the burning or tingling many people feel in their feet. It affects the motor nerves, the ones that tell your calf to contract and, crucially, to release. A nerve that doesn't release the signal cleanly is a muscle that doesn't let go. That's a cramp. So what you're dealing with at 3 in the morning is 2 processes running simultaneously. Mineral depletion from elevated blood sugar pulling magnesium and potassium out of your muscle cells, and nerve signal impairment from that same elevated blood sugar affecting the motor nerves in your legs. Same source, 2 different pathways, both pointing to the same conclusion. What happens to your blood sugar overnight is directly connected to what happens to your legs at 3 in the morning. And that is exactly why the overnight window matters. That is why what you eat before bed is not a minor detail. If your feet burn at night, or go numb, or feel cold no matter how many socks you wear, please don't ignore it. I almost did, and I'm 80 years old. For years I told myself it was just age, the tingling, the heaviness in my legs climbing the stairs. But it wasn't age. It was my blood sugar quietly damaging the nerves and the circulation in my legs, and almost nobody warned me in time. If you let it keep going, those little signals turn into something you can't undo. I wasn't willing to lose my feet or my independence, so I started doing one thing every single day to help support healthy blood sugar and protect my legs. I'll show you exactly what in this video. And if you want the simple support I personally use, there's a free presentation linked in the description below. The food is a banana. One ripe banana eaten every night about 30 minutes before I sleep. I know how that sounds. I know someone out there is thinking, a banana? That's your answer? I thought bananas raised blood sugar. And that concern is real. A banana does contain natural sugars, but here's what it also contains. Roughly 420 milligrams of potassium and about 30 milligrams of magnesium per medium banana, according to the USDA nutritional data. That's a meaningful dose of both minerals your leg muscles are being depleted of overnight. The timing matters. Eating the banana before sleep means those minerals are available in your bloodstream during the hours when the depletion is happening, the hours your kidneys are working, the hours your muscles are lying still and vulnerable to cramping. You are restoring what the elevated blood sugar is taking. Now, I want to be precise about something because I know this audience. If your doctor has told you to limit fruit because of blood sugar concerns, have that conversation with your doctor before changing anything. I'm not telling you to overrule medical advice. I'm telling you what I do and why it works for me. One banana before bed has not raised my fasting glucose, but your situation is your situation. Take what I'm sharing to your doctor and ask the question. What I can tell you is this. The cramps stopped being nightly. They became occasional. And when I think about why, it's not mysterious. I stopped going to sleep with depleted muscles. The mineral supply was there when the body needed it. But here's the part I need you to hear clearly, because it is where most people go wrong. The banana is not a cure you eat once and forget. It works because it is one piece of a system, and the cramp comes from the blood sugar, so the real job is to keep the overnight blood sugar from doing the draining in the first place. The banana replaces what's being taken. The rest of the system reduces how much gets taken. Here are the 3 pieces I pair with it, and each one closes a different gap. First, a 10-minute walk after dinner, before the banana, before bed. Research has shown that short movement after a meal activates a glucose transporter in your muscle tissue that clears sugar from the bloodstream independently of insulin. Less sugar circulating overnight means less mineral excretion overnight, less of the draining that sets up the cramp. The walk lowers the load, the banana replaces what's left. They work together. Second, protein before carbohydrates at dinner. When you eat your protein and vegetables before the starch, research has shown your body releases a gut hormone that slows glucose absorption and flattens the after-dinner spike. A flatter evening spike means a steadier overnight blood sugar, and a steadier overnight blood sugar means your kidneys aren't working overtime pulling minerals out while you sleep. Third, a cool, consistent bedroom, around 65 to 68 degrees. Research has linked fragmented sleep and elevated cortisol to higher blood sugar overnight. A cooler room supports deeper sleep, a quieter cortisol response, and a calmer overnight glucose pattern, which means less mineral depletion and fewer signals for that calf to seize. 1 banana to restore the minerals. A walk after dinner to lower the load. Protein before carbs to flatten the spike. A cool room to quiet the night. 4 small things, 20 cents in a few minutes. The banana is where it starts. The system is what makes your legs go quiet. I want to tell you about a man I heard from last year. 76 years old, managing type 2 for 12 years, waking up with calf cramps 3 to 4 nights a week. His doctor had told him it was neuropathy, possibly also dehydration. He was drinking more water, which helped a little. Nobody had mentioned the mineral connection. Nobody had asked what his overnight blood sugar was doing or what he was eating, or not eating before bed. He started the banana. He added the walk after dinner. He moved his protein to the front of the meal. He wrote me 8 weeks later. The cramps hadn't disappeared entirely, but they'd gone from 3 or 4 nights a week to once, maybe twice. His legs were quieter. He was sleeping longer. I'm not his doctor. I can't tell you his full picture. What I can tell you is that the mechanism is real. The overnight window is real. And addressing it costs almost nothing. If you made it this far, you already understand more about your own legs than most people your age ever will. That matters. You know now that the burning, the numbness, the cold feet, they trace back to one thing: blood sugar slowly working against your nerves and circulation. And you know the goal isn't a miracle. It's protecting your ability to stand, to walk, to stay independent. That's why, alongside everything I showed you today, I use a simple daily support to help keep my blood sugar in a healthy range, so my legs keep carrying me where I want to go. I put the free presentation in the description below. Go watch it. And as always, keep working with your doctor. This supports your routine. It doesn't replace it. Before I tell you the next step, I want you to stop and think about something, because it matters more than any single food. Think about the people you've known who are your age, or who were. The ones who still get up off the floor without bracing, who still walk to the mailbox, still carry their own bags, still sleep through the night and wake up ready. And the ones who don't. The ones whose legs stopped being something they trusted, who started measuring their day by what their legs would allow. What separated those two groups? Most people say luck or good genes. I've watched it a long time, and what I see is quieter than that. The ones still walking are the ones who treated the small signals, the 3 a.m. cramp, the heavy leg on the stairs, as information, not just age. They acted while it was still small. Your legs are the last thing you want to lose, because your legs are your independence. A cramp at 3 a.m. is your body asking for something. You are allowed to answer it. Here's what I want you to understand about why nobody explained this to you. Your doctor is not withholding anything. The average diabetes appointment runs 8 to 12 minutes. In that time, they check your A1C, review your medications, ask about symptoms. Leg cramps at 3 a.m. get documented as a symptom of neuropathy, which is accurate, but incomplete. The magnesium-potassium blood sugar connection takes longer than 8 minutes to explain, so it doesn't get explained. The system isn't built for it. That's why these conversations happen here. If you're managing blood sugar with medication, metformin, insulin, anything else, keep taking it. What I'm describing is what you do alongside your treatment. The banana isn't competing with your prescription. It's working on a window your prescription doesn't cover. At your next appointment, ask 3 things. Ask for your magnesium level to be checked. Ask about your overnight glucose pattern, specifically what your blood sugar is doing between midnight and 4 a.m. And if you've been on metformin for more than 3 years, ask for a B12 test, because research has shown a connection between long-term metformin use and B12 absorption that affects nerve function. You deserve that information. Ask for it by name. If something in this landed today, if you've been waking up at 3 a.m. for years and nobody connected it to your blood sugar or your mineral levels, drop the words "quiet legs" in the comments. Tell me how often you're waking up. Tell me your fasting number if you know it. The link below this video goes to a guide I put together about the overnight window specifically, what your blood sugar is doing between midnight and 6 a.m., and why your morning fasting number is often the last thing to reflect it. That guide is the next piece of this. 1 banana, 30 minutes before bed, a walk after dinner. Start tonight.